By contrast, China had the best possible start, a 2-0 win over Kuwait, helped in part by some questionable refereeing. But Gao Hongbo's young outfit, with an average age of just 24, are hopeful they can seal qualification if they can maintain their unbeaten run against the Qataris at the Asian Cup. 3 times they've met before in this competition, and China have won the lot, so everything is against Qatar tonight. Everything except a partisan home crowd, and even some of those appear to have deserted the side. The Khalifa Stadium is only about half full, but they'll make some noise, and they will hope and pray that their team can deliver and shake off the stage fright which so blunted their performance against Uzbekistan. Andy Harper is with me in commentary tonight. Andy, can Qatar do it?
Evening, Simon. Well, they're going to have to. There weren't signs in the opening game against Uzbekistan that they're going to be able to overtake China, who were, as you said, fortunate to get past Kuwait, and they're not in great shape themselves, but they'll be bolstered by that 2-goal win. They're a young and strong team, well coached, a national hero in China, Gao Hongbo, and Bruno Metsu with massive question marks over his tenure. I mean, they failed dismally in the last World Cup qualifying campaign. Indeed, huge question marks as to whether or not they should have been allowed to qualify for progress to the final stage of qualifying. Well, that came to pass. They were dismal in finishing bottom of their group, and they've carried that form into opening night of the Asian Cup for 2011. So they've got a huge corner to turn. Their big hope is the Uruguayan naturalised Qatari Sebastian up front. If he fires, they're a chance. If he doesn't, they've got no hope.
Here come the 2 teams. It's Group A. It's a huge night for Qatar. It's China against Qatar in Doha. Well, the national anthem of Qatar fairly belted out with gusto in the hope that it will inspire the local team. The last thing the local organisers want is to Qatar to go out in the first round. But that is a distinct possibility this evening if they lose to China, who themselves have the incentive of a place in the quarterfinals looming if they can get the 3 points. The team news. Gao Hongbo has made good on his promise to make changes, 3 in all. Goalkeeper Yang Ji, midfielder Xiao Shuri and striker Yang Chu are all left out. Stopper Zheng Cheng wins just his 10th cap between the posts. Yu Tao of Shanghai Shenhua comes into the midfield, and Gao Lin, who was top scorer in the Chinese second division last year, will lead the line. Our referee for this crucial encounter is Kim Dong-jin, a 37-year-old professional referee from Daegu in South Korea. His 2 assistants are also Korean, Jong Hae-sang and Jang Jun-mo. The 2 captains, Bilal Mohammed of Qatar and Du Wei of China. Well, Bruno Metsu has added extra defensive insurance after the rather ragged display against Uzbekistan. Mohamed Kasola is drafted in, and there are also starts for strikers Mohamed Al-Sayed and Yusuf Ahmed, both of whom impressed off the bench on opening night when Qatar were chasing the game. The naturalised Brazilian Fabio Cesar is an absentee through injury. Gao Hongbo, a prolific striker as a player, and he's won 2 trophies already as a coach. The Chinese Super League with Changchun Yatai and the East Asian Championship with the Chinese national team last year. As for Bruno Metsu, he apologised to the Qatar supporters for their performance against Uzbekistan. 1 defeat is perhaps excusable, but an embarrassing first-round exit may not be tolerated by the Qatari FA, so anxious to impress with the world watching on. So Qatar's day of reckoning is here. Only a win will do. Are they capable of getting it, Andy Harper, against a very dangerous Chinese side?
Well, they're going to need to believe that they can do that, Simon, and the insurance of a good start will help them build through the match. A win is all they need. The scoreline is not the issue. They don't have to rush for goals early, but they must be tighter at the back than they were against Uzbekistan. And they had, upon reflection, too many passengers. Game 1, Fabio, maybe he was ill going into that game because he barely figured. Jarala and Hussein Yasser, both of whom find themselves on the bench today, were real non-contributors. As you mentioned in your wrap, the 2 who've come in, Mohamed El Sayed and Yusuf Ahmed, look good off the bench. That's been enough to win them a start.
And it looks as though Bilal Mohammed is going to be partnered in the centre by the new boy, Mohamed Kasola. In fact, Kasola, my mistake, has gone out to right fullback, which is perhaps understandable because Hamid Ismail had a torrid night against Uzbekistan down that flank.
Well, Hamid Ismail has gone up to right midfield. It's looking like a 4-4-2 for Qatar. And Bruno Metsu saw what the world saw opening game.
Here's Lawrence with an early free kick for Qatar.
And that was Hamid Ismail being given the complete runaround by Jasur Kasanov, the left winger come midfielder for Uzbekistan. There's Sebastian throwing his weighty around early. And it's a good move that from Metsu, just on the readjustment of Hamid Ismail, because on the left side of China's midfield is Yu Hai, number 21. Keep your eye out for him. Very dangerous dribble, loves to get outside the fullback. That would have been a no contest, he versus Hamid Ismail.
Here come Qatar, though, as they look again for Sebastian Soria inside the box. Here is the naturalised Uruguayan. Takes a heavy deflection, and Qatar will have the first corner.
Well, already they're looking more lively in the front third, as they needed to. Yusuf Ahmed showing good space. Line ball, offside call. China not able to clear their lines. And it's a shoot on-site policy from Sebastian.
Hamad Ismail with the corner for Qatar. High-octane opening. They're desperate for results, Al-Anabi. Up in the air by Zhang Lingpeng. You can almost feel the adrenaline pumping through the veins of the Qatari players. Down goes Sebastian on the edge of the box. Free kick, Qatar. Another opportunity.
He's straight into gear, Sebastian, isn't he? Well, we talked about an advantage that China would have against Qatar. Well, certainly Qatar have their own advantage with their number 23, Sebastian. I thought the central defensive pair for China was a little ponderous against Kuwait, particularly the number 4. Zhao Peng. I would certainly fancy Sebastian against Zhao in a 1v1 contest. Now he's got the opportunity from the set piece. You reckon it's going to be the Uruguayan to let rip? It's about his range.
Lawrence is there too. Looks like it's going to be perhaps teed up for one or either of them. Crowd involved right from the off. It's Lawrence, and it's charged down by the Great Wall of China. That's the team's nickname. Return by Kasola. Qatar have made a great start here. And that's a foul, though, by Sebastian. Just took the legs of the defender.
China completely rattled. They have not been able to get out of their own half. A 4-minute barrage from Qatar. And they're going to try and hammer home the emotional high that they're on at the moment. No waiting around. It was a sloppy free kick in hindsight. Gave the Chinese defence too much time to smother the effort. Let's keep the pressure on, Qatar.
Well, Andy, I don't know what Bruno Metsu has said to the Qataris before they came out, but clearly their ears have been ringing.
Yeah.
And they've been waiting ever since that opening day defeat against Uzbekistan to try and shake that loss out of their system. But they have to keep their heads. You can't win a game in the opening 5 or 10 minutes, but the old saying goes, you can lose it. Here's Sebastian. That's good defending by the Chinese. Very neat and tidy by Yang Hao. And they look for Gao Lin, who will be the outlet and attack for them tonight, and a mistake by the Qatari defence. And here come China through Yu Hai. Trying to get around Kasola. Lays it back for Rong Hao. And a free header at the far post. Well, it's easily gathered by Qasim Burhan, but Dong Xiaosheng, we might think he might have done better with that.
Well, it was straight into the breadbasket of Qasim Burhan. Thankfully, his hands aren't great. You could even see him slightly fumble that one. This is certainly a case of buckle up the seatbelt. It's been a frenetic start. Just what we want to see, just what Qatar need. I'd suggest just what China were hoping not to happen. Now there's the first glimpse of Yu Hai down the left-hand side. He beat Mohamed Kasola twice in the one move. The cross resulted from Rong Hao.
Game of head tennis inside the Qatari half.
Well, two things about Qatar coming into this game, Simon. They needn't be fazed by China. This is not the greatest Chinese team we've seen by any stretch. They're in a building phase, but there's none of the great names or anything like it in this team. No Sun Xiang, no Sun Jihai. There's no Hao Hai Dong. Nothing like it. Fan Ziyi, the great names that only the last 10, 15 years we're talking about. That's why the concern about Chinese football at the moment, that the production line seems to have ground to a halt. This team is workmanlike and serviceable at best. Qatar needn't feel intimidated. And the second point is any footballer worth his salt won't need the coach's words ringing in his ears. as the host country to realise they let everybody, including themselves, down last Friday night.
This is Deng Xiaoshang, scored that fine free kick against Kuwait. And they've given away cheap possession again, and Yusuf Ahmed is fouled. Another set piece for Qatar.
Sorry, he's a good player. He is a good player, Yusuf Ahmed, and there's the first sight. Look, it's he on this occasion versus Zhao Peng, and you saw how firstly he stopped the progress of the central defender and then turned away from him. Statuesque defending from the Chinese central man, and it's going to be a point of concern as the game wears on.
This free kick a little bit further out, so Wissam Rizik will probably just dink it towards the box. Not with any great accuracy. Lawrence tries to pick it up. And then Rong Hao attempting to break out of defence. Anxious night for Bruno Metsu. Maybe even his job on the line, Andy.
There's no doubt about it. Saudi Arabia have pulled the trigger on their coach, Jose Peseiro. He came in after a failed World Cup campaign as well. Lost the first match against Syria. See you later, Jose. Bruno Metsu, a worse qualifying record, albeit with a weaker team than Saudi. But they are extra expectation. Bruno Metsu on borrowed time.
This is Zhang Linpeng. China really been pegged back in these opening 9 minutes. Barely been allowed to touch the ball. Long-range effort easily gathered by Zheng Cheng. There's Yusuf Ahmed with the right-footed drive from, well, probably 25, 30 metres.
But just that little snippet there, just the technique to adjust the ball onto his right foot. He did it in the blink of an eye. Can't understand why he wouldn't have started the first game.
Well, he did have a wrist injury, in fairness, picked up in a pre-Asian Cup friendly against Iran that was causing him some problems.
Sure, so just don't let him take throw-ins. Tell you what, he's a lump of a lad, this Mohamed Kasola as well. I'd suggest very good facing the game, but if China can look to turn him around, they'll get plenty of mileage. Here they go again. Al-Anabi.
Anywhere will do for China at the moment. Ibrahim Majid. And then a mistake. Sebastian Soria. Oh, he's put it wide. How could he miss from there? What a golden chance for Qatar. He can't believe it. And the Qatar fans cannot believe it. Neither can Bruno Metsu. It seemed easier to put the ball in the back of the net, and you just staked your house on Sebastian here.
Well, I see it, but I don't believe it. This went to script. It was Zhao Peng who fell over the ball. He put it on a tee for the Uruguayan maestro, and he scuffed his shot badly. And let's hope for the sake of the host nation, not fatally. Well, what a boost that would have given this energetic start by Qatar. 11 minutes, they haven't taken the foot off the throttle. China in all sorts.
And a man who scored 22 international goals in 57 appearances. He is Qatar's main provider in that department, but they remain without a goal in 3 and a bit internationals now. And they won't get a better chance than that. What a chance. This is Bilal Mohammed, the Qatari captain. Lawrence, the naturalised Ghanaian. Hamid Ismail trying to shrug off Rong Hao. Hangs it up looking for Sebastian. And that's a good claim by Zheng Cheng.
Well, credit where it's due. Hamid Ismail is already looking more comfortable further up the field as a right midfielder rather than a right fullback. Dangerous with the ball over the top. Lawrence found him nicely. He's got a good turn of speed on him, Hamid.
Sebastian. Wrong Hao turns it away from danger.
Again, Sebastian able to pick that ball up in space in front of the Chinese defence. They're very unsure of themselves, the central defensive pair.
Wissam Rizk. China finally getting a touch of the ball. Do you think the Chinese coach Gao Hongbo would have expected this, Andy?
I think he would have expected it, most certainly. His team's not dealing with it. And their technique's letting them down. Their inability to put their foot on the ball and move Qatar out of their own zone is hurting Gao Hongbo's men. He's asking for some place changing. He's asking to move some of the white shirts out of their area so that we can find some space to play some football, because they're all over us like a bad suit at the moment.
Well, a bit of breathing space now for China. They've got a free kick just on halfway. It is, as you mentioned, Andy, a very young Chinese side, average age of just 24. One of those great technicians you talked about, Zheng Ji, he was considered to be too old for this squad. Li Weifeng too, the defender, both just in their early 30s.
Well, the youngsters are certainly having to learn fast here. But there's an example, rattled, technique poor, another turnover and a free kick conceded, pressure to be heaped back on the Chinese defence.
Bilal Mohammed to take it. Up it goes towards Sebastian again. This time Du Wei, the Chinese captain, deals with it. Back in by Ibrahim Al-Ghanim. Now some defensive work to do for Ibrahim Majid.
And finally a breather for China. A throw-in Qatar's half. It's worth its weight in gold at the moment. They won't hurry up to get this ball back into play. They turn the ball straight over.
China, of course, knocked out in the first round 4 years ago in Southeast Asia. Amidst much rancor and recriminations, Xu Guanghu, the coach 4 years ago, paid the price with his job for their failure. Gao Hongbo has made it quite clear that his long-term aim is the World Cup in 2014. China, of course, have only ever qualified the once for world football's biggest stage. That was under Bora Milutinovic back in 2002. And he's doing a bit of work with the Qataris in this tournament.
It's good to see Bora back in town spreading the love.
And he has spread the love over quite a few nations, hasn't he? Over the last decade or so.
The only coach to go to the World Cup with 5 different teams. And there was a central member of the successful Qatar World Cup bid.
That's better by China. Advantage play despite the foul. Yu Hai slips it into the box. Gao Lin loops over the goalkeeper. Doesn't know. He plucks it out of the air. And Gao Lin is denied. And just for a fraction of a second, it looked as though Qasim Burhan was going to be embarrassed by the deflection. But he's got great reach.
Sorry, Simon. We've seen 15 minutes of Qatar at their best. We've just seen them at their worst defensively. They opened up like a tin of sardines. And thank goodness for 1.292 metres worth of Senegalese import in goal.
Now the referee has issued 2 yellow cards following the earlier tackle that China were unhappy about. So it was Bilal who committed the foul, so he's in the book. And Yang Hao, the Chinese midfielder, has seen yellow too for his complaining.
Well, in the end it was good defending on an individual basis, and the goalkeeper, he hung enough, just enough, and then That long frame of his at full extension, gathering the ball in. For all their troubles, China, and they've been plenty, they've had 2 good sides in goal already. And that's the danger for Qatar. They do tend to be very porous in defence.
There's maybe a third one, and Qasim Burhan, well, he got there more by accident than design. Yu Hai with the thumbs up for the delivery, and again Qatar so very nearly, Andy, caught napping defensively.
Terrible. To have conceded from that situation would have been catastrophic. Yu Hai, as far as I was watching, pulled out of that. I think he had half an eye on where the goalkeeper was coming.
Well, maybe it's a good tactic by Bruno Metsu to attack, because they certainly can't defend, can they?
Attack is the best form of defence. I think you're right.
This is Lawrence for Qatar, going long, looking for Hamid Ismail. Now Sebastian. Ball's gone behind, it's going to be a corner.
That's a cheap concession as well. China should be relatively safe with Sebastian pulling out to the flank. But again, it was Zhao Peng who conceded the corner needlessly.
Now Hamid Ismail, can he get this delivery right from the set piece? Sebastian climbs highest, but heads it over the top.
And the problem with the loop corners like that, or a free kick or a cross, however, and from whatever format the service comes, the striker then has to make all the pace on the ball. And as well as having to outleap the defence, he was quite some way away from goal, and that was never going to trouble China's goal. That header from Sebastian.
Well, we played 20 minutes in Doha, and despite the early flurry, China have survived and arguably had the better chances. 3 times they've met before in these Asian Cup tournaments, and China have won the lot. That cannot be the case tonight for Qatar if they are to survive in this competition. And here come the home side again, through Yusuf Ahmed. That should be the goalkeepers.
Okay, the run and the cross didn't come to anything, but it just serves as another warning to China. He showed great speed to advance the ball so deep into China's territory. Next time he gets the ball, the Chinese defence will instinctively back off, give him more time to play.
China are the highest ranked team in this Group A. Very evenly matched section, at least on paper. China ranked by FIFA 87. So on that basis, you wouldn't fancy whoever went through would actually have a stab at winning this competition. But Uzbekistan have certainly impressed. They're sitting pretty atop the section at the moment with 6 points after their win over Kuwait. And China, of course, could join them if they can claim the maximum here this evening. This is Wissam Rizik. Square for Lawrence. One of many naturalised players in the Qatari starting 11. Yusuf Ahmed has 2 Chinese defenders to contend with. But he's drawn the foul. And I don't think Yu Hai agrees with that, Andy, do you?
Whatever tells you that, Simon. Pretty fortunate, really, not to receive a yellow card for the sent by action. He was fairly vocal in his protestation.
Well, he's gone down a bit easy, in fairness, Yusuf Ahmed, but anyway, the linesman was close enough. Tall Timbers come forward again for Qatar. Sebastian will be one of the targets. Bilal Mohammed perhaps another. Mohamed Ismail, another great delivery. This is Mohamed Kasola. And now China can break through their playmaker, number 10, Dong-jin. Or at least try to.
Well, that wasn't the pass of the playmaker, I'm sorry to say. He's a good player out of form at the moment. Did score a nice free kick. Should be said against Kuwait in game 1. And his general performance showed promise and not much else. He's sadly out of touch.
Player from Shandong Luneng. It's actually scored in China's last 3 internationals. The 2009 Chinese Young Player of the Year. And that's very much the story for this particular national team from China. It's a team that is being built by Gao Hongbo.
He's landing awkwardly, Lawrence. Nasty situations. He's limping slightly.
Yeah, it's the pirouette on the knee in particular when he lands. Ouch. Those can hurt.
Amazing athleticism to get up from that. I know what my body would do if I tried to hide that.
I'd still be down there, Andy. Well, the frenetic pace of the opening quarter of an hour has lulled just a little bit. But only a little bit, as Mohamed Kasola concedes a corner. I think that's China's first one.
They just look so vulnerable, though. Qatar, one long ball and the whole team is in panic stations. It wouldn't surprise at all. How often does football throw this up? China stretched, Sebastian with a gilt-edged chance to nail them. Couldn't take it. They've had a couple of sights on goal, a couple of good ones too, China. Now they get their first set piece. How often does football bring a goal for the team that's been under pressure?
Du Wei, the captain, and Xiao Peng have ventured forward for this corner kick for the Chinese. Goes to the far post, and they've got a free header for a second time. And for the second time, it goes wide, and it was from the central defender, Xiao Peng.
Well, Mohamed Bilal aside, the captain of Qatar, there's not too many others who like defending, evidently. Every time the ball is knocked into Qatar's half, and in particular into the penalty area, it just looks very worrisome.
They've looked much better going forward, though. And here's Yusuf Ahmed! Oh, side netting. Some of the crowd on that far side were on their feet celebrating. Just a whisker the wrong side of the post from Qatar's point of view.
He's a dangerous piece of work, isn't he? This is again nice. Nice link play. Mohamed Ismail. What a great picture as well. A young footballer in full flight.
Another one from the Al Sadd club. In fact, he's Qatar's all-time top scorer, Yusuf Ahmed, with 46 goals. Here he is again. Oh, the volley! Oh, what a goal! Yusuf Ahmed scores for Qatar on the half volley. A beauty! And Khalifa Stadium erupts, the first goal for the hosts of this tournament, and it's been well worth the wait. What a goal!
Well, goodness gracious me. That is as good a strike as you will see. What a brilliant piece of football from Yusuf Ahmed. He's been causing all sorts of trouble in this opening quarter hour. This opening 25, 26, 27 minutes. Just as 1 minute ago, he sent shockwaves through China's team. And then he gathers in a header from Lawrence. Turns, thighs, volleys home. A brilliant piece of work. The Khalifa Stadium is alight. Qatar are alive, and China are on the back foot.
Well, I'll tell you what, Andy, we saw a special goal on opening night at that end of the park from Akhmedov for Uzbekistan, but that's as good, if not better, from Yusuf Ahmed. Brilliant stuff. And the smiles are back on the faces of the hosts. It's been a miserable few days for them, under all sorts of pressure, and you just sense the waves of relief lapping around the stadium as that ball rippled in the back of the net.
Well, he's a very, very exciting player. Well, that's as good a goal as you'll see. Enormous pressure on the home team.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sebastian Soria's feeling a little bit better about his miss, isn't he?
I was just going to say, very relieved. And it takes the burden somewhat away from him. I mean, to have two players threatening China's defence, obviously, is a huge filler for Qatar. So reliant on Sebastian have they been. But Yusuf Ahmed is now proof pudding of double trouble for China. What an exhilarating piece of football.
And the hosts are alive and kicking at this Asian Cup. Yusuf Ahmed of Al Sadd, just down the road from here, has lit up this game and perhaps lit the blue touch paper for Qatar at the 2011 Asian Cup. No blame can be attached to Zhang Cheng. He didn't have an earthly with that. Another free kick for Qatar. Long way out this one. Maybe they're in the mood. Maybe Lawrence is in the mood. It's been likened to Michael Essien in some respects. Let's see if we can hit a dead ball like him. No. Sebastian Soria, down he goes. That's a dive, says the referee. But it's won back by the busy Wissam Rizik, and away come Qatar again. Well, perhaps not the best option by Ibrahim Al-Ghanim, a defender by trade. Looking to see his name up in lights. Ahmed Ismail drives it across the face. Al-Ghanim, who'd stayed forward, will retrieve. Ibrahim Majed, back for Wissam Rizik. They're really started to find some rhythm here. Sebastian Soria drives it wide. And China rocking again defensively. Beautiful combination play by Qatar.
And this is the point. Look at this work off the ball from Sebastian Soria. Got in behind his defender. Then he can turn and face these two central defenders for China, Du Wei and Zhao Peng. He's a better footballer than both. And more of that type of service for him. He will score sooner rather than later.
Thumbs up from Bruno Metsu. He's happy with what he's seen so far. Offensively anyway, defensively probably less so. As Bilal Mohammed concedes the corner.
And this is, I guess, what can be easing the nerves of China. Whilst they're under enormous pressure in their own defensive zone, they know that as soon as they get up for a corner or on a fast break, they've got a great chance to score against Qatar.
Yang Hao with the corner for Gao Hongbo's team, who trail 1-0. Another free header at the far post. And this time it's rather easier to deal with for Qasim Burhan, and a foul too. Well, at times he can be a little eccentric, Qasim Burhan. He's all arms and legs, isn't he, Andy? Reminds you a bit of Aurelio Gomez, I think, the Spurs goalkeeper.
Well, here's the reverse angle. Football doesn't get any better than that.
Absolute quality.
Exciting pitches. Just watching a striker with plenty of go about him. You couldn't hit it any better. keeper with no chance. The net bulges, one of the great sights in football, if not the best.
Yu Hai trying to get busy for China down the left. It's not a great ball. China just struggling at times for rhythm, even though they've created a few opportunities. They've been down to the defensive sloppiness of Qatar, really, as much as anything else.
Well, Qatar, not at all looking to hold on to their lead. That's going to be a corner for China.
Well, they can't defend a lead, can they, Qatar? Well, it
they basically can't defend,
way.
but it would help if you had... I don't know what Metsu does at this point, but he's playing a 4-3-3, and with Ahmed Ismail pushing up, it almost becomes a 4-2-4. Does seem a little suicidal at this point to be so.
Well, Qatar have been suicidal at set pieces so far. There's an almighty scrum going on the penalty spot. Qasim Burhan comes out and punches, not too convincingly. Back out it comes for Yang Hao, into the box. Oh, and the shot on the turn is plucked on the ground by Qasim Burhan, the shot by Yu Hai. And they are all over the place defensively, Qatar.
Well, there's your Mr. Eccentric again, Qasim Burhan. He came, he should have had it, he got nothing. I mean, the football purists will be dying in their armchairs watching this because neither team is defending. But for the neutral, it makes for compulsory viewing.
It's comedy hour defensively, isn't it? All that's missing are the custard pies and the red noses in that Qatar defence. Here's Ibrahim Al-Ghanim. They're better going forward, though.
And China shouldn't escape censure either. They're defending, whilst they've been under enormous pressure. So you, whilst ever you can, want to pay credit to the attacking team, but China just are not dealing with the onslaught. The game is incredibly open.
Yusuf Ahmed's beautifully controlled. Lawrence, now Ahmed Ismail. Throw in for Qatar.
So that's fine for Ahmed Ismail to be pushing up in those set situations. They've got numbers forward, China are back in numbers as well. The threat of a counter-attack is less, so fine for him as right midfield to push up, complete that 4-2-4 formation and try and get a cross in.
Launched long by Casola, flicked on by Sebastian Soria. And China are saying that the foot was high from Yusuf Ahmed, who's remained prone on the turf with an injury.
But if you're Bruno Metsu, the message you're getting out to Ahmed Ismail is if the field isn't set for us, and that's a case less of a high foot and more of Douay diving into the ball, I reckon that's why the referee waved play on.
Well, Yusuf Ahmed just picked up a whack to the right knee there. Completely accidental by Zhao Peng.
Well, they can barely afford to lose him. Does Bruno Metsu now? Well, I reckon he should be. Just putting the ankles on a couple of his players, at least to cover some space. Even if one-on-one, they're pretty ordinary defenders, most of them.
But at least they're not going to die wandering, Andy. Here's another look at the goal, and it's worth seeing again and again. It's wonderful technique. Let's hope his injury is not too serious, because he's played really well tonight, and this was his crowning glory. Eye on the ball, straight through, right with the laces. And Qatar led, and still do.
Well, he's been the difference, quite simply. And not just because of the goal, he's had a couple of very dangerous runs. Plenty of energy about Qatar's team, but now they just need to drop anchor, take a breath, consolidate. Still push forward when the chance comes, but they've got to be sensible. They've got the lead they so desperately desired.
Here's Yu Tao for China. Deng Xiaoshang. Raking pass to find Rong Hao. Shakes off one defender and a second. This is a good run by Rong Hao. Now Deng. Rong Hao again. Good work by China. And it's going to be a free kick for the dive by Chu Bo. And he's going to get a yellow card, I think, for simulation. The replay will tell us more.
Completely convinced I agree with the referee. That one, I've got to say.
That, by the way, is Chubo's second yellow card. He also picked one up against Kuwait. So that means he will miss China's final group game against Uzbekistan in a few days. This is Deng. Lovely ball with the outside of the boot. It's Gao Lin was offside. Plays for Guangzhou Evergrands. Actually in the Chinese second division, Gao Lin. At least they were until they were promoted at the back end of last season. Gao Hongbo not afraid to dip into the lower leagues to find his internationals. Lawrence's header. Poor touch that from Al Sayed. Just about 5 minutes to go before the half-time whistle, Andy, and it's fairly flown by this first period.
It's been great to watch. He's been quiet, Mohamed El Sayed. Expected more from him. The game just hasn't gone down the left, really. It's all been down the right-hand side with Hamid Ismail. Yusuf Ahmed been very potent going forward, but even now you can see how far up the field Hamid Ismail is. Can't for the life of me understand the reason for that.
I'll tell you what I do like about Qatar tonight, though, Andy. They've been a lot more aggressive, particularly in the centre of the park.
Terrific intensity. Completely agree with that. You called it stage fright on opening night, and comparing that night with this, you could well be right. There goes our mate again, Hamid Ismail. He is like a wet paper bag defensively.
Lucky break for Gao Lin, who was then clattered a little bit late by Bilal Mohammed. The ball had already gone, and perhaps lucky for Qatar that the referee didn't see that. Now there's going to be a change made by China already. Gao Lin is going to be withdrawn in favour of Yang Shu, who of course started the previous game against Kuwait. What do you make of that, Andy?
Really interesting. Let's assume that there's an injury.
Play's already restarted with the corner. Another test for Qasim Burhan. And he's handled that one very well. Your heart's in your mouth, though, every time he goes out for a cross, isn't it?
Every time the ball goes into Qatar's penalty area. I mean, this far out from half-time to make a substitution when you've looked quite dangerous in an attacking sense. Defensively, you've been troubled if you're China. It can only be an injury, surely.
Well, the only other thing I can think of is that he did get involved in that verbal altercation with a Qatari defender. But, yeah, I'm with you. Otherwise, it's a pretty strange tactical swap at this early juncture. Anyway, that was a lovely ball, by the way.
It was. Given how fast things are flying by here, I mean, it's Chu Bo you'd be worried about sitting on a yellow card. You couldn't afford to go down to 10 men, not with Qatar in this mood in an attacking sense.
Here's Sebastian. That will be a free kick. Douay. Just a little bit too over physical. Good contest, that one, between Sebastian and Douay. There's again some verbals.
This is a battle of temperament as much as anything for China.
And China historically have struggled in that regard.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We've seen it a lot with Chinese teams. Accentuating that reality for them is the youth, inexperience. Not a lot of old heads there to keep things calm.
So 2 minutes to go before the interval. Could this be a crucial moment in the game? Could they get a 2-goal cushion going into the break? Sebastian. Well, he's fairly taken the leather off that one. And I'll tell you what, the stands are a long way behind the goals here at Khalifa Stadium. And he cleared the running track in one bounce.
Yeah. I mean, the really ominous thing for China is that Qatar have achieved this very good performance, really without Sebastian firing. He's been a handful, he's won some free kicks. A brilliant chance that he missed from about the penalty spot. Normally it's the other way around. Normally it's Sebastian carrying the can for Qatar. So they can come out in the second half, they can organise themselves a bit defensively. It might be a very big ask, I know. And they can get more out of Sebastian. Their stocks rise.
I'll tell you what, Bilal Mohammed, who's going to take this free kick, is really on the angry pills tonight. He's had a verbal battle with Gao Lin. Now he's gone off. He's having one with his replacement. They are so up for this, Qatar. And in fairness, they have to be. It would be a huge embarrassment if they were to go out in the first round. Another yellow card. This time issued to Mohamed Kasola.
Delaying the restart.
4 yellow cards in the first half.
Yeah, well, that was, I mean, that is just such a stupid yellow card to give away. You can talk about being up for a football match and completely aroused. Sports psychologists talk about arousal levels for athletes. There's no doubt Qatar are redlining on that front, but you've got to manage it as well. That's just stupidity from Mohamed Kasola. Now he's on the tightrope, and he's in the danger part of the field. At right fullback up against Yu Hai.
Injury time at the end of the first half, of which there will be 2 minutes. It's been a pulsating first period at the Khalifa Stadium.
It's one thing I do like about Mohamed Kasola. He is the old style. He is the old model. He is the give 'em plenty defender. If he can just get close enough.
He's a throwback. All he's missing is the square jaw and the full beard of the 1970s, Andy.
And the shin-high boots.
And here he is taking the long throw, in which is flicked on by Sebastian Soria. Yusuf Ahmed! Oh! What a brilliant goal again by Yusuf Ahmed! That is sensational! And Qatar double their lead right on the stroke of half-time. And they are 2 collector's items goals.
Well, the guy's a freak. Now, where was he game 1? You talk about him having an injured wrist. Who cares about a wrist? He's killing China with his feet. All he's missing is a headed goal to display the complete array of the striker. He's got pace, he can dribble. His first goal was a belter. And now with his back to goal, he eats half a yard and squeezes it past Zheng Cheng. It's a brace for the young flyer. It's Qatar, the host country, 2 goals to the good. It's a brilliant display of football from the youngster.
Still just 22, and he has 2. And Qatar, as the half-time whistle goes, have a 2-goal cushion. What a display by Al Anabi, and what a display by Yusuf Ahmed in this first period. He has lit up the Khalifa Stadium, and at the break in Doha, Qatar are right back in this Asian Cup. They lead China by 2-0. Well, no wonder they're smiling at this stadium. Everything that Qatar weren't against Uzbekistan, Andy, they have been tonight.
Yeah, indeed. Going forward with the ball, they have intensity, they have passion, they have intent. They're closing China down. China, in 45 minutes, I can't really imagine or remember them settling on the ball once. So that's credit to Qatar. Their defence has been chaotic, and they could easily have conceded goals themselves, but unashamedly, the story of the first half is Yusuf Ahmed. What an exhibition from a 22-year-old striker in front of his home crowd, where the host country has to win to stay in the tournament, and he has scored 2 peaches.
And credit too to Bruno Metsu, because he was under real pressure going into this game, but he's rejigged his side and he's got the rewards. What a strike that was. A touch with the thigh and on the half volley, and there's the second goal, which is as good as you will see anywhere in the world. Qasim Burhan, who's had his moments of eccentricity in the first half, delighted to see that ripple the back of the net. And Qatar are halfway to a much-needed 3 points. China have had their opportunities too. Qatar have certainly been vulnerable defensively, particularly from set pieces, especially from crosses. Dong Xiaoshang with a free header on the far post, causing no real problems for Qasim Burhan. But for the most part, Andy, they've been pegged back and made to look really very much second best by Qatar.
Well, the problem for China is these players, and you can't believe you're saying it about a Chinese national team, don't have the technique to get themselves out of trouble. They can't settle on the ball. A country that's aspiring to football greatness, as China would be, which is totally reasonable, have to be able to deal with an onslaught from Qatar with technique. They can't do it. They can't put their foot on the ball. They can't pass their way out of trouble because they haven't got the technique building block. That's a real concern. We've talked about it in this tournament, and it's been really evident in this first half.
Sebastian Soria has been much more involved tonight, but it's this man, Yusuf Ahmed, who has really taken centre stage and lit up this stadium. 2 brilliant strikes and some wonderful link play too. He's been energetic. The whole Qatar team has been aggressive from front to back. They have imposed their will on this Chinese side. And here's that goal again. It's just wonderful. You can watch it 100 times and not get bored of it.
Never once, never once. I mean, he showed terrific awareness to open the goal up to start with. The ball was headed over from Lawrence. And see how he just leaves the ball. He sensed that the Chinese defender has overplayed his hand. And so he's leant out and kept the ball going towards its natural destination. And from that point on, he's had the striker's instinct to let the ball do the work. All he's done is tee it up for himself and then smash through the guts of the ball, relying on atmosphere and ball dynamics to let it fly into the back of the goal. It was brilliant. And then the second goal was pure technique. It's exactly what China don't have at the moment. He used with the back to goal to get rid of China's weak spot, which should be their strength, but their central defenders have really struggled against Yusuf Ahmed and Sebastian. Sebastian with the flick on. That's just not a fair fight at the moment. This guy is on fire. Du Wei, who's a seasoned professional in a young team, made to look like a rank amateur.
Yusuf Ahmed, remember the name. He's on a hat-trick and we're only at half-time. And Qatar are halfway to a much-needed 3 points. 2-0 at the interval, 12 shots on target in that first half. 3 yellow cards recorded. In fact, I made it 4. Maybe I was wrong. And even though the possession stats say it's been pretty even, Stephen, there's no doubt that Qatar have really been the team that have tried to force the issue, and they've got their rewards. 35 tackles in the game, 17 fouls. At times, it's been a little disjointed, but that's due to the perseverance and the aggression of Qatar. And at the interval, they are deservedly in front. China 0, Qatar 2. Join us for the second half in a few minutes. Well, what a first half we've had here at the Khalifa Stadium. Qatar leading by 2-0. The Great Wall, as the Chinese national team is known, has been breached on a couple of occasions. Might have been a couple more. Sebastian Soria with a fantastic early opportunity, but Yusuf Ahmed, really the name on everybody's lips at half-time. Two sensational goals, and Qatar are right back in contention at this Asian Cup and in Group A. Of course, Spain lost their first game at the World Cup in South Africa last year, and they didn't do too badly, so we'll be hoping something similar will occur for Al Anabi. Now, China making a change at half-time. Yu Hai has been withdrawn in favour of Hao Junmin, who is the only foreign-based player in this Chinese squad. He plays in Germany for Schalke, and is a very promising winger. So we'll see if he makes a difference for Gao Hongbo's team. You'd imagine that Bruno Metsu is breathing a little easier after that first half. He's been under huge pressure this week. He knows the job is only half done. So Qatar getting us back underway at the start of the second half. And you'd imagine, Andy Harper, that a few strong words might have been exchanged in the Chinese dressing rooms at the break. They had a real good chance, and still do, of course, to ensure qualification here this evening for the quarterfinals.
Yeah, the game isn't, by any stretch of the imagination, close to finishing. I mean, Qatar can collapse just as easy as they've built their empire.
First involvement for Hao Junmin, the second half substitutes. Here's the first half substitutes, putting it through for Chu Bo. That was Yang Chu. Just a little too much weight on the delivery.
Interesting, the substitution. Hao Junmin came on against Q8 to replace Chu Bo. Very effective down the right-hand side. I would have thought you'd want to attack Qatar down their right-hand side, get Hao Junmin on the right, from the right to the left.
This is Rong Hao, who's ventured forward on occasion in the game. Here's the star of the show, Yusuf Ahmed, and again, very quick feet. Looks as though he's perhaps the whole package, Andy.
Well, he turned out of trouble and skipped away. One throw-in.
2 goals of real quality in the first half. 2 of the best goals we've seen at this Asian Cup so far. And there've been a few good ones. Mohamed Kasola is going to go again for the long throw. He gets good distance, looking for Sebastian Soria. Broken up by China. This is Hao Junmin. Shrugging off Wissam Rizk. And now Deng, the left-footed playmaker from China. Wearing the number 10 jersey. So beloved of playmakers all around the world. On the evidence of his first half display, still got a long way to go if he's going to enter the annals of legendary number 10s. As away come Qatar through Mohamed Al Sayed on the left, looking for Sebastian Soria. Ball was behind him. Then a second chance. 2 defenders with him. And he's rather lost his way, Al Sayed.
Unfortunate for Al Sayed, he made terrific ground. he looked up, he only had the one target. Not a bad target in Sebastian, but Sebastian's position was problematic. He'd gone past the front post. There was no one else coming in behind. The tap came to nothing for Qatar. It's a lively start to this second half, as it was to start the match.
Yusuf Ahmed's dominant in the air. Al Sayed is predominantly right-footed, so he does tend to cut inside, and it wasn't a great ball for Hamid Ismail.
No, he's looking off colour tonight. He really didn't figure in that first half when most of his team was really pushing on. 2 contributions in this half. Not brilliant.
Well, there we go. Even Yusuf Ahmed's not perfect. He's given away a free kick, although the replay suggests perhaps he got a portion of the ball. This is Du Wei, the Chinese captain. Had a spell in Scotland many years ago with Glasgow Celtic, just the one appearance. Very much the elder statesman in this young Chinese outfits. This is Yu Tao. Was he caught late there? Nothing doing, says Kim Dong-jin, the South Korean referee, but he will blow up for that infringement. But a good tussle, those two, Sebastian Soria and Du Wei. Sebastian ahead on points, I'd say. Bruno Metsu, you just caught a brief glimpse of there. He's well used to success on the regional stage. Took Senegal to the final of the African Cup of Nations back in 2002. And, of course, the World Cup quarter-finals in the same year. That's a poor ball from Xiaopeng. Really loose. Picked up in midfield by Lawrence. This is where Qatar have been good. They've burrowed away for possession, and of course as soon as I say that, they've coughed it up cheaply. Now Hao Junmin. Qatar win it back. Sebastian. Forward for Bilal Mohammed. And now Yu Tao. Zhang Lingpeng. Hao Junmin. Lingpeng will switch the point of attack. It's a lovely crossfield ball. And a free kick results.
There we go. Hamid Ismail making a tackle. It was just an illegal one. He clattered into wrong.
Goodness me, he took everything there but the advertising hoarding. Wow, the tackle was wrong, and how.
Well, the underbelly of Qatar isn't going to be exposed from this set piece. They have defended like amateurs, they've attacked like professionals.
There's Kasim Burhan. It's a huge applause from the gallery. Stuck out those long arms. Maybe he just got a arm across the chops as well from Zhang Lingpeng. He did indeed.
Slow motion camera doesn't miss anything. Yellow card for Zhang, the goal scorer against Kuwait.
Qasim Burhan, just checking he knows where he is. It's like the old joke, isn't it, about the physio saying he doesn't know who he is. And the coach says, go back on and tell him he's Pele. Or in Qasim Burhan's case, maybe Peter Schmeichel or somebody of that ilk. Anyway, he's okay. A Senegalese-born Qatari goalkeeper. Won aerially by Yang Chu, and then subsequently by Yu Tao, and eventually by Ibrahim Majid.
Well, it's the first time in the game, really, that it's been a period of sloppiness. Look at that pass from Du. I tell you that it is really alarming that China can be so deficient in the basic building blocks of the game, and that's why they can't get out of trouble. It's impossible for them to play their way out of the game or into the game or out of trouble or into the attacking zone because their technique is so deficient. Can't believe you're saying it about a Chinese national team.
Well, Chubo has at least won them a throw-in. Yu Tao. It's just not happening for China. Qatar with a 2-goal cushion. Yusuf Ahmed again, causing problems.
He's in rare form.
At least he was until that moment.
It's clumsy more than anything. It's desperate to get to the ball. It's a clear foul. There's no defence can be offered apart from the fact that he was just hungry to win the ball back, and that's a good sign.
Well, Yusuf is going to need a little bit of treatment. He had the left thigh heavily strapped in the first half.
Well, it's too early for cramp, surely. 55 minutes in. Chilly winter's night here in Doha, and really stiff, cool breeze blowing through the stadium.
He looks a real talent, doesn't he, Yusuf Ahmed? Scored a couple of goals at the FIFA World Youth Championships back in 2005, which is where he first showed his real promise, and he's been a prolific scorer at international level. 48 goals now in 58 games. And not all of the opposition is going to be too stiff, of course, but even so, he showed that he's got real quality this evening, and Gao Hongbo's side have just not been able to handle him. He's not a goalkeeper you'd want in your side,
honestly,
is he? No disrespect to him.
I reckon he's a transplanted volleyball player. I mean, he's 1.92 metres tall. It takes him half an hour to bend down to pick up the ball, and still he invited the Chinese striker onto him.
And in fairness to him, the previous incumbent, Andy, Mohamed Saka, was equally eccentric.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously the entry-level requirement for Qatari goalkeepers. The only thing he's missing is the tracksuit pants that were made famous by Mohamed Saka.
Well, China have got a chance here, maybe, and Burhan's going to have to show his skills, which he does. The offside flag was raised in any case on Yang Chu.
Well, they took the free kick quickly, China.
Tell you what, that was close too.
Very close. Qatar a little asleep. There's Qasim Burhan again. Laconic, eccentric. Importantly so far, unbeaten.
Plays for the local Al Gharafa club here in Doha. Winning just his 18th cap tonight.
football pass from China. Onto the stats page as if they're keeping them. The Chinese coaching staff are not going to make for pretty reading. Unforced errors have been very evident, too frequent. They're down 2-0 against Qatar.
Well, maybe this is why Gao Hongbo is going to make the change. Yu Tao has been withdrawn in favour of Zhou Haibin, who is a midfielder of some quality with Shandong Luneng, the current Chinese Super League champions. He actually had a year in Europe with PSV Eindhoven. He didn't make any appearances, but he is a talent that China have amongst their ranks, and well, now is as good a time as any to use it.
Well, surprised he hasn't started either of the two games. We've seen a fair bit of him through World Cup qualifiers and through Asian Champions League matches. And he will bring a certain degree of ballast to the midfield, which has struggled to cope.
Changes coming thick and fast at the moment. That is Mohamed Kasola, who is going off on the cards. Yusuf Ahmed still walking rather tentatively. And he's going to continue at least for the moment. Here come China in the shape of Rong Hao. First touch for Zhou Haibin. Back for Du Wei. Qatar just down to 10 men for the moment. Rong Hao. Little dummy by Deng. This is better from China. And they get a shot away, and Kasi Burhan, again, not too convincing as he galloped away like an out-of-control horse there, really.
Do I dive? Do I run? How about I try both? The stutter step and then the crumple onto the near post. The ball goes safely wide. The turn and shot from Yang Ju.
Well, it's a little bit better from China. Qatar have made a change, by the way. The injured Mohamed Kasola has been replaced by Mesad Al-Hamad. And he'll just slot in on the right-hand side of the Qatar defence. That's his natural position, the Al-Sadd player, another naturalised Qatari, born in Yemen. And he'll play behind Hamad Ismail down that right flank.
That's not the most robust offensive pairing. And again, Gao Hongbo, he will have pored over the evidence of Qatar's football till now. He'll know that their left-hand side, China's left-hand side, is where they must direct the traffic. That's why I would be moving number 8, Hao Junmin, onto the left-hand side and feed him the ball.
But they're just sloppy, China, aren't they? Even that goal kick didn't have good direction nor pace, and then miscontrol by the defender. It's all a little bit in slow motion for China, like they've never really got out of first gear tonight. Still very much a work in progress. Another change, and it's the double goal scorer who, if there's any fairness in this world, will get a standing ovation for his contribution tonight. Yusuf Ahmed has been sensational.
Yeah, it's been quite a performance. Is 62 minutes enough for him to win the official man of the match award from the local organisers? We'll see. That was as good a goal as you'll see, and this was an expert piece of instinctive strikers finishing. The face tells the story. The scoreboard tells the story, and Yusuf Ahmed can now enjoy the work he's delivered tonight. It's been simply exceptional, and it's a reprieve of sorts for the number 9 Jarralla, who comes on. He was poor game 1. Maybe the form of Yusuf Ahmed will serve as some sort of rocket for him.
This is Al-Sayed. Just prodded forward to no real effect by Ibrahim Majid. Certainly some of the tempo has gone out of the game, which I suppose you'd expect, given Qatar had a 2-goal cushion. No need for them to go chasing a 3rd goal. Well, I'm sure they'd like one. They might get one here. Sebastian Soria. Great first touch. Oh, and he clips the stanchion on the outside of the goal. That would have been the icing on the cake for Qatar.
Well, the reputation of Sebastian Soria meant that the Khalifa Stadium rose as one. The anticipation, you could almost cut the air with a knife. But he can only hit the supporting stanchion. He got plenty of it. He's got a terrific turn of speed. That midsection is incredibly powerful, and it knows how to strike a football, but he couldn't direct the shot. That would have been game, set and match. And he'll still be smarting from the chance he missed early in the first half.
Hao Junmin trying to get China going. It's been stodgy, it's been predictable at times by China.
Well, Zhao Haibin, the number 6, has already made an improvement to their midfield as far as I'm concerned. Here we go. Don't look away for a second. He plays with a smile on his face too. He is the class clown, Qasim Burhan, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. There's Zhao Haibin again, good work. He's a cut above most of the players in China that have been seen so far.
Now that's a mistake by Lawrence in midfield. China have got a chance here perhaps, but it's squandered by Deng.
Well, we're seeing everything here at the Khalifa Stadium. That was an effective piece of team defending from Qatar. Almost every occasion where China have broken into Qatar's half has resulted in some sort of chance on goal or some danger in the penalty area, but they managed to defuse that one very well.
If China were to nick one though, Andy, it would be very interesting, wouldn't it, to see the mindset of the Qataris, whether they get nervous like they did against Uzbekistan.
That's a very good point you raise. You wouldn't have, based on the history of what we've seen, you wouldn't have a lot of confidence that their temperament would be rock solid. But there is this thing about them tonight. They're playing with real verve and purpose, as they needed to. And I suspect that if they were to concede a goal, whilst not ideal, that they're in a strong place mentally at the moment. Stronger than we might have come to expect.
Expertly brought down by Hao Junmin, who, a bit like Zhao Haibin, looks a class above some of his teammates, technique-wise.
Yep. Now that's why the direction for me, for Gao Hongbo, would be, guys, if you get the chance, get the ball to Zhao Haibin, and Zhao Haibin, if you get the chance, fire it out to the left wing where I'm going to put Hao Junmin, and let him rip Qatar to pieces down their right-hand side.
Well, they're baby steps at the moment for China. They've got a free kick.
Well, the babies have to grow up quickly. They're down 2-0 to a team. On a host of measures, they should be at least the equal of, if not beating.
Qasim Burhan barking out instructions. Could be heart in mouth time again for the Qataris if Deng gets this delivery right. He's gone straight for goal and just too high. In fact, the goalkeeper touched it over. Corner kick.
Well, he reckons he did nothing on with him. I don't think he actually touched this. replay, I don't think he touched that. I think he had him covered. Anyway, he's got to defend this one now.
Deng to deliver again. The goalkeeper came and, well, I think he got something on that. Either that or he's completely punched the Chinese striker's lights out.
Well, it's a take no prisoners approach from Qasim Burhan. I wouldn't argue with him. Whisker.
Yep, ball and all. Yeah, well done, the big keeper. Xiao Peng, who got the bronze end of it. Defender from Henan Construction in the Chinese Super League, and those waving the red flag tonight have not had too much to cheer. It's been a disjointed, strange sort of a performance from China. They should have been cock-a-hoop, really, after their opening day success over Kuwait. But they've really been bludgeoned into submission by a rampant Qatar team. So China down to 10 for the moment as Hao Jun-min tries to make progress and earns another set piece. Not seen too much from Chu Bo tonight, have we? He's been very quiet. That should be the keepers. Easily done. They're not going to come near him after what happened a few moments ago.
Well, he's not the most elegant, but he's been very effective tonight. And now he hoofs the ball 60 metres upfield.
And we're inside the final 20 minutes. And if it stays this way, Andy, it's going to make for a fascinating final match day in Group A.
Of course, it will even mean that Kuwait can still qualify.
Yep. Theoretically, they'll still be alive. Final day games, China against Uzbekistan and Qatar against Kuwait. To be played simultaneously, of course. As Hao Jun-min plays it far too deep, and Qasim again plucks it out of the air with ease.
Sets off the attack. That's a nice release. Qatar with acres of space here.
And of course, they've lost the drive and talent of Yusuf Ahmed up front.
And there are slight signs that they're going back into their shell a little bit. Xiao Peng, who copped a whack on the melon from the goalkeeper, is feeling his upper hamstring. It's amazing how referred pain works.
Maybe he's just suggesting that Qasim is a pain in the bum. Here's Sebastian Soria, threads it through, chance for Qatar. Oh, that's good defending by Douay. But they should have done better. Hamid Ismail. Why didn't he shoot, Andy?
Well, it was a good option to pass. I just think he was confused as to what he wanted to do. Because half of them were saying, the angle's narrow, but I really should let one rip. The other half was saying, I've got my team's best striker, Qatar's best striker, in front of the goal with no one on him. And I got a bit of sympathy for him trying to feed Sebastian from that angle. He's had a good game with the ball at his feet. His defending still is hugely questionable. Now, this is interesting because Gao Hongbo has already emptied his bench. He's got no subs left. Xiao Peng looks like he's going to succumb to that hamstring injury. China 2 down and about to be a man down.
Not been a good night at the office for China, has it? Keep you posted as to whether he returns. Xiao Peng has certainly given the Qatar fans a boost. Even though there were 2 goals to the good, they were still a bit nervous. Dangerous lead to hold. They've got a corner here. Out it comes for Wissam Rizk. Intelligent ball. Lawrence needs to keep hold of it. Not too many options wide left. Ibrahim Marja chips it up. Duwei wins the aerial battle. Cleared by Deng. Given away, though, by Yang Chu. And a bit of a mix-up between Al Sayed and Majed. Oh, there you go. That's been a feature of Qatar's play tonight. They've really worked for each other. Al Sayed committed the error and then scampered back 20, 30 metres to atone. And now Sebastian Soria trying to put pressure on Rong Hai. Fraction over quarter of an hour to go at the Khalifa Stadium. Could the 10 men of China launch an unlikely comeback? Otherwise, it's all going to go down to the final day in Group A. Uzbekistan will need just a point from their clash with China. And Qatar and Kuwait will fight it out back here at the Khalifa Stadium.
Now, Kuwait will feel as though their luck has to change sooner rather than later.
They've been really unfortunate, haven't they?
They had a red-hot penalty not given by Australian referee Ben Williams with the score at 0-0 against China, and then they conceded the first goal via a deflection, and same today. First goal conceded against Uzbekistan by another wicked deflection. And they'll feel it's about time their luck changed. Qatar have played out of their skins here tonight. China disappointing, and Uzbekistan reigning supreme at the moment, but they could come unstuck against a desperate China match day 3. Bruno Metsu defending a 2-goal lead. Wasn't real interested in defending the 1-goal lead, but what does he do now with 15 minutes to go? He's got very experienced player Talal Al-Blushi on the bench. I'd be seriously considering him just to make sure things don't come unstuck. Very accomplished defensive midfield player.
Bit of space here for Lawrence, being urged forward by the crowd. Well, they tried to pick out the substitutes. Jarala Almari. Duwei standing firm. Back it comes, Hamid Ismail. Didn't really look. Oh, but then a mistake by Zhang Linpeng. Qatar back in control. China look punch drunk. They've barely been able to raise a gallop, particularly in the second half. 1 or 2 opportunities first period. One left a little bit short. Anywhere will do for Bilal Mohammed. Have some tired bodies out there. They've run on adrenaline for most of tonight, and what was Dong-jin doing there? He had a man free on the left and chose not to use it. Cho Haibin instead. Well, just nothing is coming off for China. It's way too pedestrian. Qatar go long. Up in the air by Duwei.
Lucky to get away with it. Sort of header that was from Duwei.
That's a better ball though by Duwei, and China in. Oh, they're offside. And that's, well, I'll tell you what, that's going to be a close one for Chu Bo. I think his teammate Yang Chu was offside. This will tell us a little bit more. Well, I think he's maybe on there. Don't know what your take on is it.
Yeah,
it is Andy, I should say.
Yeah, I'd probably go with the assistant referee. Tough call, tight one.
Attendance here tonight has been confirmed. 30,778.
If they don't pack the joint for game 3, I'll turn it up.
And unlike last time, Andy, thousands of them aren't leaving for the exits early. Funny that.
And Kuwait will be up for that game too. I don't think we should be under any illusion. They've played well in losing 2 games. It's going to sound silly saying that. But I reckon they can quite reasonably achieve the measure of Qatar.
Zhao Peng is not going to play any further part in this game, and well, if he's pinged a hamstring, you'd imagine he might be doubtful for that game against Uzbekistan as well. They're going to be without Chubo too. So,
well, he's got to play.
Another couple of problems.
He's got to play Zhao Harbin. He's got to play him, the number 6. So he's made a. As one man can't change the whole complexion of the team, but he's giving what no other player has been able to give. Well, he's just done what every other player's done, and that's give away a ball. But probably his first error. Can't understand why he wouldn't have been playing.
He says it's about building for the World Cup, Andy, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But when you come to a major tournament, and it's easy to say with hindsight, but are you not better to include 1 or 2 of the experienced players? Somebody like a Zheng Ji.
Yeah, well, I think the young guys, the ones you're actually trying to groom, learn more on the field of battle with experienced campaigners, good ones.
Now here's a chance to wrap it up for good for Qatar, but the substitute Jarala Almari can't quite lift it over the top of Zheng Cheng. And he's now remained down on the turf. Again, a chance to slow the game down. Qatar won't mind this. Lovely ball from Lawrence.
He's had a good game too, Lawrence. Fair challenge there from keeper. Indeed, it's a very clean save. Jarala's decided he needs a rest.
Well, it's difficult to see how he's picked up a major injury there. There was a slight clash of legs between goalkeeper and striker, but I think he'll be okay in a couple of minutes. And play will restart with a drop ball. The other problem for Gao Hongbo is it not, Andy? If they go out at the group stage, much like they did 4 years ago, there's going to be clamours for the head of the coach again back home.
I'm not sure. I think he's on firmer ground. He's had a.
You think?
I think at the moment he is. This isn't an impressive team, excuse me, and you'd have to be deep in the belly of the beast of Chinese football to know if he's left better players out. We can't form a view on that necessarily because we haven't seen the depth and breadth of the Chinese Super League. But I think he's a popular appointment and he's done well up until now, and they can still qualify for the second stage. And if you're developing players, it's best to develop them whilst you're playing. You can't do it if you're on the plane home. And that's why I agree. It's better to have the young guys learn off a core of senior quality, which provides 2 things for you then. Increases your chance through winning football matches, and it accelerates the learning of the youngsters.
It's going to be a little too far for Jarrah. Coach in 30 years, Gao Hongbo, just 43. Learnt under one of the previous incumbents, Ari Han. He was his assistant. And in fairness to him, his record has been pretty good since taking over. 31 games China have played, 17 wins, 10 draws, just 4 defeats. And of course, he lifted the East Asian Championship at the start of 2010. And this is a different kettle of fish entirely. And this game, Andy, really in danger of just petering out, well, which will suit Qatar.
It suits Qatar, it suits Bruno Metsu. A third goal would, however, give them just that added bit of insurance going into game 3. Makes Kuwait's task that a little bit more difficult.
It is the only result that keeps all 4 teams still alive in Group A. Uzbekistan will need just a point against China. What a game Qatar-Kuwait's going to be.
Well, there was tremendous pace in the Kuwait performance, losing performance against Uzbekistan. In fact, I thought Uzbekistan, for large parts of the game, found it difficult to keep up with Kuwait. And you put that approach from Kuwait with Qatar's approach here, points to some pretty high-octane stuff.
Now, I've had a bit of a mixed bag from the set pieces from Deng Zhoushang today. I think we could put that one in the not-too-good basket. China have never lost to Qatar in an Asian Cup finals, but they are within 6 minutes of doing so. And you'd think, Andy, that Bruno Metsu will have his first good night's sleep in about a week tonight, if this stays the way it is. Well, here's Kasim again with
Showing some of his Corva tricks.
the old Bruce Grobbelaar wobbly legs.
He's brilliant, isn't he? He's got a fair boot on him as well. That's flown 90 metres. Close enough too.
Well, all the sting's gone out of the game.
And China just unable to affect the pace of the game. Well, they've got massive issues. They were helpless in the face of the Qatar onslaught because they couldn't control the football, they couldn't pass the football. And with Qatar just dropping the pace off slightly and making sure things stay tight at the back, China can't affect the game's rhythm.
Says their captain, Du Wei. That's really what they're resorting to. Long, hopeful balls over the top. Here's Hamid Ismail. Lawrence. Wide open spaces for Hamid Ismail. Is there some icing on the top for Qatar?
That's
not
poor.
with crosses like that.
That's poor. They had 4 versus 3. They got
Still
another
maybe
chance.
there's a chance here. Sorry, Andy.
All right.
Lawrence. Sebastian. Tees it up for Mesad Al-Hamad. Well, errors all over the park at the moment. 2 very tired teams.
He's been great tonight, Lawrence. Wissam Risic has been terrific as well. They're a good partnership in that centre of midfield.
Al-Sayed. Too far in front of Hamid Ismail. China can break through Deng. Now Hao Junmin. And he's fairly belted the ball into the stomach of Lawrence. But again, China were on the break there, Andy, and no urgency at all. Trailing the game by 2-0, a few minutes to go, and he was on his own, Hao Junmin.
Yeah, well, they've shown a worrying lack of expansiveness, a worrying lack of capacity, China. And what makes it worse for them is that Qatar's star act has been quiet by his standards. all the damage done by Yusuf Ahmed. 2 brilliant goals. He departed the scene on 62 minutes with an injury of some sort. Qatar will be sweating on his recuperation.
Well, no Qatari fan is leaving this evening. They're all staying for the celebrations, which less than 90 seconds away now, plus injury time.
Venture does it suggest that the Souk Waqif might be going off at this point in time.
Yeah, it's been a great place to enjoy this festival of football. Lots of supporters from many of the West Asian teams and a few of the others besides. All mixing in the old marketplace, downtown Doha, watching the games on the big screens.
Hey!
There he goes.
He's always got one little party trick.
Lawrence into the channel. Goalkeeper had come. Defender decided he was going to clear his lines. This is Al Sayed. Might think about the shot, but never the direction. And there's going to be a late and final change for Qatar. Hamad Ismail to be replaced by Ali Afif. Well, he's looked much more comfortable on the right-hand side of midfield, hasn't he?
There's no doubt about it. You'd still target him if you're an opposing coach because his defensive nous is almost non-existent. But going forward, a different prospect. He formed a really good link with Yusuf Ahmed, particularly in that first half.
Ali Afif of Al Sadd is the new man. Jarala Al-Mari trying to get Al Sayed involved in the action. He's gone over to play on the right-hand side for the final few moments. Ali Afif is a left-sided striker. One in midfield by Wissam Rizk. He's had a terrific night alongside Lawrence.
Yeah,
they've really controlled the midfield. So we're deep inside injury time at the Khalifa Stadium. Qatar almost home. Offside flag raised against Jarala Al-Mari. And they've been good value, Al-Anabi, Andy.
Really good night's entertainment. They came here with enormous pressure on them and they delivered, they responded from the get-go. They took no time to warm up into the game. They went straight for the jugular. It's a tactic that worked. The formation was aggressive, the defending chaotic, but the performance of Yusuf Ahmed mouth-watering. And China with not an answer amongst them.
And Qatar ending this game as they started it, playing keep ball and fully in control, or at least they were. Till a loose one from Lawrence gives it to China, but well, China just haven't got anything, have they? They're going to have to step up, I would say, by at least 50% if they're to remain in contention. Because this has been a pretty ordinary display by Gao Hongbo's side. It's to take nothing away from Qatar. Could China just perhaps make it interesting in the final few seconds? Would surely be too late in any case. And instead, it's Qatar looking to put a cherry on top. This is Jalala Al-Madi. Oh, he's taken it too far. So no third goal for the host nation. But two are going to be plenty more than enough as Qasim again plays to the gallery. Tell you what, if it was 2-1 as a coach, you'd be filthy with him, wouldn't you?
Well, you wouldn't be a coach for long, put it that way.
Wrong how. Again, the pass goes awry for China. They're stretched in numbers again. Jalala Al-Madi. This may be the final opportunity. He just wants to do too much, the substitute, doesn't he? But that'll do. The Qatari bench punches the air. The Qatari fans wave their scarves in celebration. They've been too good for China. And Yusuf Ahmed's 2 goals, as good as you will see at this tournament, or indeed anywhere. China a real disappointment. They'll have to fight it out on the final day with Uzbekistan, but Qatar stay alive in this 15th Asian Cup. They have defeated China by 2-0. Well, Andy, nobody can deny Qatar.
No, brilliant tonight. It's really, really encouraging to see a team deliver when they need to. They were dead in the water after game 1. They had to win here tonight against the might of China. And right from the opening whistle, they were brilliant. 2 stunning goals from a stunning young player. Keep your eye on Yusuf Ahmed. Brilliant performance, brilliant goals. Well done, Qatar. Thoroughly deserved. China with a mountain of work to do.
Well worth another look at these 2 goals from Yusuf Ahmed. He was the standout player tonight, and Qatar deservedly getting the 3 points and staying alive in this Asian Cup. They play Kuwait in a few days' time, again here at Khalifa Stadium, with a chance to go through to the last 8.